The unexpected response. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the mining vessel Iron Will, watching the massive asteroid slowly rotate outside the viewport. The rocky giant was rich with rare metals that Earth desperately needed for its expanding space colonies. After 3 months in the outer rim of the solar system, her crew had become experts at extracting valuable resources from these floating mountains of stone and metal. Sarah was a woman who commanded respect without demanding it. At 42, she had served in Earth's deep space navy for 15 years before taking command of mining operations. Her dark hair was always pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her brown eyes missed nothing. The crew trusted her completely, because she had never let them down. The Iron Will was not a beautiful ship. It was built for function, not form. Massive mining arms extended from its hull like the legs of a mechanical spider. Storage bays could hold thousands of tons of processed ore. The ship's grey metal surfaces were scarred from years of asteroid debris and solar radiation. But to Sarah and her crew, it was home. Dr. Marcus Torres sat at the communications station, monitoring routine transmissions from Earth and other human vessels. Marcus was the ship's linguist and xenobiologist, though he had never expected to need those skills on a mining mission. He was a tall, thin man with greying hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Most people thought his job was useless since humans had never encountered alien life. Marcus kept hoping they were wrong. Chief Engineer Zara Okafor emerged from the lower decks, wiping grease from her hands with a dirty cloth. Zara was a compact woman with incredible strength and an even more incredible mind. She could fix anything, build anything, and improve anything. Her dark skin gleamed with sweat from working in the hot engine rooms, and her short black hair was covered by a well-worn engineering cap. When something broke on the Iron Will, Zara made it better than new. Pilot Jake Morrison was running diagnostics. On the ship's maneuvering systems, Jake was young, maybe 28, with sandy brown hair and blue eyes that sparkled with mischief. He could fly the Iron Will through an asteroid field blindfolded, and he had the reflexes of a cat. Some people thought he was reckless, but Sarah knew better. Jake was careful when it mattered and fearless when it counted. Medic Alina Vasquez was in the medical bay, organizing supplies and updating crew health records. Alina was quiet and thoughtful, with long black hair and gentle hands that could heal almost any injury. She had joined the mining crew because she wanted to help people in dangerous places. Alina never panicked, no matter how bad things got. Her calm voice could steady anyone during a crisis. The crew had been working together for 2 years, and they functioned like a well-oiled machine. They knew each other's strengths and weaknesses, trusted each other's judgment, and could communicate with just a look or gesture. This unity would soon be tested in ways none of them could imagine. Marcus suddenly straightened at his station, his eyes wide behind his glasses. The strange beeping from his equipment made everyone on the bridge turn to look at him. For 3 months, they had heard nothing but routine chatter from other human ships and automated beacons. "This was different, Captain," Marcus said, his voice tight with excitement and confusion. "I'm picking up something unusual. It's not from any human source, and it's not natural space noise. This is artificial, and it's repeating in a pattern I've never seen before." Sarah moved to stand behind Marcus, looking at the complex waveforms dancing across his screen. The signal was weak, almost lost in the background radiation of space, but there was definitely a pattern to it. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, and something that looked almost like music. "How far away is it coming from?" Sarah asked Marcus. worked quickly on his calculations. Based on the signal strength and degradation, I'd estimate about 47 light-years. That would put it in the Kepler 442 system. But Captain, that's impossible. There are no human colonies or ships anywhere near their dots. Zara had climbed up from the engineering deck and was now looking over Marcus's shoulder. The signal is definitely artificial, she said. Look at these frequency modulations. No natural phenomenon could create patterns this complex. Someone or something built a transmitter and is sending this message. Jake drifted over from the pilot station, his curiosity getting the better of him. Can you figure out what it's saying? He asked. Marcus was already working on that problem. His computers were running translation algorithms, looking for mathematical constants, universal physical laws, or anything that might provide a key to understanding the message. After an hour of intense work, text began appearing on his screen. I think I've got something, Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper. The message is using basic mathematical concepts as a foundation, then building up to more complex ideas. It's actually quite elegant. Give me a few more minutes. Alina had joined them on the bridge, drawn by the unusual activity. She stood quietly, but Sarah could see the excitement in her eyes. Like everyone else, Alina had wondered if humans were alone in the universe. Now they might have their answer. Finally, Marcus leaned back in his chair and turned to face the rest of the crew. The message was repeating every 37 minutes, and he had captured enough repetitions to get a partial translation. What he had discovered made his hands shake as he read from his screen. We are the Viridians of the fourth planet in the system you call Kepler 442. Marcus read slowly. Our world is dying. Ancient machines have awakened from their long sleep and begun destroying our cities. We have no weapons, no military, no way to fight these creatures of metal and death. We send this message to any species that might hear us, hoping someone will understand our need. We are 3 billion souls facing extinction. If anyone receives this transmission, please know that we existed, that we loved, that we tried to build something beautiful in this universe. The bridge became completely silent, except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Everyone was processing what they had just heard. After centuries of wondering, humans had finally discovered they were not alone, and the first aliens they had encountered were dying. Sarah felt a weight settle on her shoulders. The Iron Will was a mining ship, not a rescue vessel. They had no weapons, no military training, no experience with alien contact. They were 47 light-years from Earth, and even farther from the aliens who needed help. Any reasonable captain would report the discovery to Earth, authorities, and continue with their mining mission. But Sarah had not become a successful captain by always doing the reasonable thing. Can we respond to their signal? Sarah asked. Marcus nodded. Yes, I can modify our communications array to transmit on their frequency. But Captain, we're talking about contact with an alien species. This is way beyond our mission parameters. Zara stepped forward. Captain, I've been thinking about the distances involved. Even if Earth sent a rescue fleet immediately, it would take decades to reach them. By then, these Viridians will be long dead. Jake crossed his arms and looked out at the stars. So we're the only ones close enough to help, he said. That's assuming we can help at all. We don't know anything about these ancient machines they're talking about. For all we know, we'd just be flying to our own deaths. Alina spoke for the first time since the discovery. They're asking for help, she said quietly. 3 billion people are dying, and they reached out to the universe hoping someone would care. How can we ignore that? Sarah looked at each member of her crew. These were good people, brave people, but she could not ask them to risk their lives for aliens they had never met. The decision had to be unanimous. I want to help them, Sarah said, but I won't order anyone to come with me. This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to return to Earth can take one of the shuttles. I'll understand, and there will be no consequences. Marcus was the first to speak. I've spent my whole career studying the possibility of alien life. Now that we've found it, I'm not walking away. Count me in. Zara nodded firmly. My engines can get us there. And if these ancient machines are mechanical, maybe I can figure out how to stop them. I'm with you, Captain. Jake grinned, and Sarah could see the excitement building in his eyes. Finally, something interesting happens on this boring mining run. You'll need a pilot, and I'm the best you've got. Alina smiled softly. Someone is going to need medical attention before this is over. I'll make sure we're prepared for anything. Sarah felt proud of her crew and terrified at the same time. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before. Contact with an alien species in crisis. They had no idea what they would find when they reached the Viridian system, no idea if they could actually help, and no idea if they would survive the attempt. Marcus, send a response to their signal, Sarah ordered. Tell them that humans have received their message and are coming to help. Include basic information about our species and our intentions. As Marcus worked to compose humanity's first message to an alien species, Sarah walked to the viewport and looked out at the asteroid they had been mining. In a few hours, they would leave this rock behind and set course for a distant star system. They would travel farther from Earth than any human had ever gone before, toward an uncertain fate and an impossible mission. But Sarah Chen had not built her reputation by avoiding impossible missions. She had built it by finding ways to make impossible things possible. And if 3 billion aliens needed help, then help was exactly what they were going to get. The Iron Will's engines began their startup sequence, filling the ship with a low thrum of power. Soon they would be traveling faster than light, racing across the galaxy toward their first meeting with alien life. Sarah just hoped they would not be too late. When Deathworlders curved the journey to the Kepler 442 system took 18 days at maximum faster than light speed. During that time, the crew of the Iron Will worked tirelessly to prepare for whatever they might find. Marcus had been in constant communication with the Viridians, learning their language and sharing information about human culture. What he discovered both amazed and worried him. The Viridians were an ancient species, over 10,000 years older than human civilization. They had achieved interstellar travel when humans were still learning to use fire. Their society was built around art, philosophy, and scientific research. They had never known war, never developed weapons, never even had serious conflicts among themselves. They were, by human standards, almost impossibly peaceful. Marcus shared these discoveries with the crew during their daily briefings. The Viridians call themselves Singers of the Void because they communicate partially through harmonic frequencies that travel through space, he explained. Their cities are grown rather than built, using a form of crystalline technology that shapes itself according to their needs. That sounds beautiful, Alina said. But if they're so advanced, how are these ancient machines able to destroy them? That's the problem, Marcus replied. The machines they call Reapers were built by a species that existed millions of years ago. The Reapers were designed to eliminate any civilization that became too advanced. then go dormant until new civilizations arose. The Viridians accidentally triggered one of their monitoring systems during a deep space archaeology expedition. Zara leaned forward in her chair. So these Reapers have been waiting millions of years to wake up and start killing again. That's terrifying. What kind of species builds something like that? A paranoid one, Sarah said grimly. Or maybe a species that had experienced something so terrible they wanted to prevent it from happening again. Either way, we need to focus on stopping these machines, not understanding their creators. Jake had been studying the technical specifications that the Viridians had provided. Captain, I've been looking at the data on these Reapers. They're massive, maybe 10 times the size of our ship. They're heavily armored, highly mobile, and equipped with energy weapons that can vaporize a city. Block. Oh, and there are at least 50 of them. The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. They were flying toward a battle against 50 massive war machines with technology millions of years more advanced than anything humans had ever seen. Their ship was designed for mining asteroids, not fighting alien death machines. Alina broke the silence. Have the Viridians tried to fight back at all? Marcus shook his head. They don't understand the concept of violence. When the first Reaper attacked one of their cities, they tried to communicate with it, tried to offer it gifts, tried to sing to it. They can't comprehend that something might exist solely to destroy. That's going to be a problem, Zara said. If they won't fight, how can we help them? We'll figure something out, Sarah said, with more confidence than she felt. We're humans. We're good at fighting things that want to kill us. 2 days later, the iron will dropped out of faster than light. Travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. What they saw on their screens made everyone gasp in amazement and horror. The fourth planet was a jewel of blue and green, covered with cities that looked like enormous flowers made of crystal and light. But even from this distance, they could see the dark scars where the Reapers had been at work. Marcus was immediately contacted by the Viridians. The alien voice that came through their speakers was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. But underneath the beauty was unmistakable fear. Human friends. The voice said, using the translation system Marcus had developed, "We greet you with joy and terror. Joy that you have come so far to help strangers, terror that you may share our fate. The Reapers grow stronger each day. 3 of our greatest cities have fallen. Our people flee to the polar regions, but the machines follow. We estimate perhaps 1 week before our entire civilization is destroyed. My name is Captain Sarah Chen." Sarah replied, "We're here to help. Can you show us these Reapers? We need to understand what we're fighting." The main screen flickered, then displayed an image that made Jake whistle low in amazement. The Reaper was enormous, easily 2 miles long and half a mile wide. It looked like a mechanical mountain with dozens of weapon ports and thruster arrays. Its hull was made of some dark material that seemed to absorb light. Energy beams lanced out from its weapons, reducing a crystal city to glowing slag in seconds. Alina put her hand to her throat. Those poor people. How many died in that attack? The Viridian voice was soft with grief. 40,000 singers were silenced in that city. They had gathered in the harmony chambers, trying to produce frequencies that might communicate with the Reaper. Instead, they died together, still singing. Zara had been studying the technical readouts. "Captain, I'm seeing something interesting. These Reapers are incredibly advanced, but they're also incredibly old. Look at these power signatures. They're operating at maybe 60% efficiency. Millions of years of dormancy have degraded. Their systems, That's still more than enough to destroy us, Jake pointed out. Maybe, Zara said, but it gives us options. If I can get close enough to one of these things, I might be able to find weak points in their systems. Sarah turned to Marcus. Can the Viridians provide us with detailed scans of the Reapers? Internal structure, power distribution, anything that might help. The Viridians had been monitoring the Reapers since the attacks began, hoping to understand them. Within hours, the Iron Will's computers were filled with detailed information about the ancient war machines. What they learned was both encouraging and terrifying. The Reapers were powered by contained singularities, tiny black holes that provided virtually unlimited energy. Their weapons could punch through any known armor, and their shields could deflect almost anything. They were fast, smart, and absolutely ruthless. But they were also operating according to programming that was millions of years old. I think I see a pattern, Marcus said, after studying the attack data. The Reapers are following a specific protocol. They identify population centers, eliminate defenses, then systematically destroy infrastructure. It's like they're following a checklist. That's useful, Sarah said. Predictable enemies are easier to fight. What else? Jake had been working with the ship's navigation systems. Captain, I've been plotting the Reapers' movements. They're not coordinating. They're attacks. Each one is working independently, which means they can't adapt to new tactics quickly. Alina had been studying the medical data the Viridians provided about their people. The Viridians are incredibly fragile compared to humans, she reported. They're adapted to a low-gravity world with a thin atmosphere. They're probably 3 times as tall as we are, but weigh half as much. No wonder they never developed into fighters. Zara had been working on modifications to the Iron Will's systems. Captain, I've got an idea. It's crazy, but it might work. The Reapers are programmed to eliminate advanced civilizations, right? But what if they encountered something that looked primitive, but was actually effective? What are you thinking? Sarah asked. Our mining equipment, Zara said, her eyes lighting up with excitement. To a Reaper, our ship might look like a barely functional piece of junk. Our weapons are chemical rockets and mining lasers, primitive by galactic standards, but I can modify the mining charges to create shaped explosions. Our drilling equipment can punch through asteroids made of solid metal, and our ore processing systems can be converted into electromagnetic pulse generators. Jake caught on immediately. So we pretend to be primitive locals who got lucky, hit them with low-tech weapons they're not programmed to defend against. Exactly, Zara said. The Reapers have shields designed to stop energy weapons and deflect missiles. But a simple kinetic impactor moving at high speed, their programming might not even recognize it as a weapon. Sarah felt a spark of hope. It was a long shot, but it was better than anything else they had. Can you make the modifications? Give me 48 hours, Zara said, and I'll need Jake to help with the targeting systems. While Zara and Jake worked on weaponizing the Iron Will, Sarah and Marcus coordinated with the Viridians. The aliens were amazed by the human plan to actually fight the Reapers. They provided detailed maps of their world, identified the locations of all active Reapers, and began evacuating their people from predicted battle zones. Alina prepared the medical bay for casualties, both human and Viridian. She studied everything she could about alien physiology, preparing treatments for injuries she had never seen before. The responsibility was overwhelming, but Alina had never backed down from a challenge. The plan was simple in concept, but terrifying in execution. The Iron Will would approach the nearest Reaper while broadcasting Viridian distress signals, making it look like a refugee ship trying to escape. When the Reaper moved to intercept, they would hit it with everything they had at point-blank range. 2 days later, they put the plan into action. Jake piloted the Iron Will toward the massive Reaper, which was systematically destroying a crystal city on the planet's surface. The ancient war machine was even more intimidating up close, its dark hull bristling with weapons that could vaporize their ship in seconds. "Remember, everyone," Sarah said over the comm system, "we only get one shot. At this, if we miss, we won't get a second chance." The Reaper detected their approach and began moving to intercept. Its weapons powered up, energy crackling along massive gun barrels. But it was following its programming, moving to the optimal firing position for destroying a fleeing refugee ship. That was exactly what Sarah had hoped for. "Now, Zara," Sarah shouted. The Iron Wills, mining charges, reconfigured as kinetic penetrators, fired simultaneously. Massive chunks of asteroid ore accelerated. 2 incredible speeds by magnetic launchers slammed into the Reaper's hull. The ancient shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered no protection against simple chunks of rock moving at relativistic speeds. The Reaper's hull cracked open like an egg. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as critical systems failed, but the ancient machine was not finished. It managed to fire one shot before its power systems failed completely. The energy beam missed the Iron Will by inches, close enough to overload several systems and fill the bridge with smoke. But they were alive, and the Reaper was not. "We did it," Jake shouted, barely believing their success. "One down," Sarah said grimly. 49 to go. The victory sent shockwaves through both human and Viridian communications. The impossible had happened. A primitive mining ship had destroyed a Reaper. But more importantly, the tactic worked. Over the next week, the Iron Will hunted down Reaper after Reaper, using hit-and-run tactics that the ancient machines could not adapt to quickly enough. The Viridians watched in amazement as humans did what their advanced civilization could not: fight back against extinction. They began to understand why the Galactic Database classified Earth as a Class X death world. Not because humans were evil, but because their harsh environment had taught them to never give up, no matter how hopeless things seemed. As the last Reaper fell to the Iron Will's improvised weapons, the surviving Viridians began to emerge from their hiding places. Their crystal cities could be regrown, their people could heal, and their civilization could continue because 6 humans had decided that strangers were worth saving. The friendship between humans and Viridians would reshape the galaxy. But that night, as Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of her battered mining ship, she was simply glad that they had made a difference. Sometimes the best thing about coming from a harsh world was learning that kindness was worth fighting for.